Today we're going to be discussing learning objects and the open source community. Basically, a learning object is anything that aids in the learning process, and it's usually digital content. Wiley gives some examples of what learning objects are. He says they're multimedia content, instructional content, learning objectives, instructional software, and software tools. Basically, anything you would find in the online classroom that aids in the actual process of learning would be considered a learning object. Simonson says that learning objects should be reusable and found in a repository that any instructor can use. Basically, Simonson believes they're great tools that should be shared because they aid in learning, which is any teacher's goal. But the verdict is still out on learning objects. Simonson says that these repositories full of reusable learning objects would be incredibly useful and would expand the number of resources available for teachers. But Wiley says for learning objects to be reusable, they would have to be so general that they are pretty much pedagogically useless. So how does this relate to the open source movement? According to Simonson, open source means freely shared and improved on by others. So something that is open source can be modified for the sake of improvement. Leitris and Nave, authors of Open Source for Knowledge and Learning Management, say that open source technologies are available free of charge, don't depend on a particular company, are usually reliable, and are usually of good quality because they've been modified by so many people. So while discussing learning objects, they actually start talking about e-content, and they say that online content can be expensive and take a long time to build. So because of this, they highly recommend open source learning object repositories. So my conclusion kind of agrees with this. We should pair learning objects and open source and the open source movement. This will increase access to free resources to potentially improve instruction and increase learning. But these repositories should be highly monitored to make sure that qualified individuals are making the modification.